very innovative people here to discuss building smart cities on the cloud. So we've got Steve Cercone, Business Development Executive at Ingram Micro, and we have Ali Hasan, Business Development, IoT-Smart Cities Partnerships at AWS. So I'm going to hand it off to Steve and Ali, and we're all going to get back to our seats and pay a lot of attention.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, everyone. I'm Steve Cercone, and I am with Ingram Micro, and I lead the business development for the justice and public safety industry, but also I just took on the smart cities space recently. I came over from AWS, Amazon, where Ali is right now, and Ali and I used to work together, and I thought it'd be a really, really great opportunity for Ali, who leads, he'll introduce himself, but he leads the business development for AWS Smart Cities and IoT. My career was, I've been in the tech industry for a while, and mostly the justice and public safety tech, but previous to that, I was about almost 30 years in 3 city governments, so I know city government, I know how they work, and I finished as the chief of police in the state of California. And what I saw in those three cities is they all work very hard, but they all do things very differently. Some of you most likely came from city government, and the public safety focus in smart cities is paramount. You're not a smart city if you're not a safe city, right? And that's what I sit in right now. And so for Ingram Micro. Now Ingram Micro is the world's largest distributor of technology, and AWS is our strategic partner, and Ingram enables AWS partners and other cloud provider partners to go to market. And so that's why we work together. So I'll let Ali introduce himself.
Cool, thanks, Steve. So is this on? Go ahead and speak. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Maybe not. No, don't switch, please. Don't switch. Oh, don't switch. Cool. So I'm actually going to present more you guys a little bit, but as Steve mentioned, Ali Hasan, I am with Amazon Web Services, BD for IoT Partnerships. And before I switch over, I have a question. How many of you have heard of Amazon? All right, Jerry, I lost my slide. How many of you have heard of Amazon Web Services? All right, so fairly good idea, right? So we're basically the cloud platform that provides IT services as a service. So really make it easy for you to trust a tech guy to run the tech.
This one here is on the other, so thank you.
Oh, it's a different thing.
This one? Yep, and that one. Yep,
Cool, thanks. So at Amazon Web Services, right, we have a host of services, over 200 services, to help you build any solution you want, whether it's public sector, cities, commercial, global regional presence, et cetera. What's important for us, and that's why I lead the whole partnership side, is partnerships, right? In public sector, when we work with our customers, we start to realize that even though AWS offers a host of services, infrastructure, machine learning, IoT, public sector customers typically want to procure solutions rather than having to build them themselves, right? So having the right partners, having distributors like Ingram Micro, having the right solution vendors, the consulting partners, the SIs is very critical, because with them we can approach smart cities and come up with the right solutions. So earlier there was a lot of different definitions of smart cities, right? For us, we don't really try to define smart city ourselves. At Amazon, we have this idea of working backwards from our customers. So we talk to our customers and understand what are the challenges you're running into, right, on a daily basis, whether it's traffic, whether it's mobility, whether it's energy efficiency, building management, and then those specific challenges we'll try to figure out how do we work backwards from that, and then figure out how do we apply the right technology to help solve those challenges, right? So we don't have one broad definition. It's a very challenge by challenge approach. And we hope that in solving those individual challenges, the city is step by step getting smarter, right? Solving one of those challenges. So if you look across the board, we have partners in all these different verticals, right? So smart waste management, pollution control, citizen services, engaging with citizens through smart mobile apps, chat mechanisms, smart lighting, public safety. Steve used to lead the whole public safety stuff, so he's dealt with a lot of partners, ISVs in that space. One of the big challenges we see is there's a lot of solution vendors out there. There's a lot of partners, and they all do a great job providing point solutions. But how do you understand who's a good Amazon partner? Who has a technology that's vetted and validated technically, right? So we have this concept of competencies at AWS. Has anyone heard of AWS competencies? Oh, one person. Awesome. So the idea of a competency is within our Amazon partner network, we have over tens of thousands of partners. So it's very hard to distinguish and understand who is a good partner or who's the right feature set that they provide or who has the right technology, right? So competencies help partners get differentiated, and you can distinguish partners. So for example, if we look at storage partners, right? There's a lot of them, but then a partner that has attained a storage competency, they've distinguished themselves, they've validated the solution, and they have a go-to-market strategy, and then you can very comfortably, our customers can say, I want to work with this partner because they have the right competency, right? So we have competencies across the board for different technologies, for different services, and just last year, we launched a smart city competency. The idea behind the smart city competency is to curate these partners all together and create sort of a, like I said, differentiator, but then also a matchmaking capability, right? To say, hey, how do we match customers and the challenges to the right partners to this competency, but then also, how do we match partners with partners? In a lot of cases, we have lighting partners that are saying, hey, we would love to work with a traffic management company that's built on the AWS cloud so we can together address city needs. So the competency creates this ecosystem where you can have all these different solution vendors interact with each other, interact with SIs, bid on contracts, and sort of create that ecosystem. So here are launch partners. Last year, I think December or November is when we launched the AWS Smart City competency. So we have a host of partners. This is a global competency, and we're actively working with partners to get more and more partners involved in this. If you look across the board, right, we have big names like Deloitte that does their urban data platform built on AWS. We have a traffic management company, MyoVision, which is based out of Toronto, and I have a case study on them. They basically connect all the traffic signals with IoT sensors and devices and basically visualize all of that through computer vision. Rubicon is one of our smart waste management company, which is essentially outfits the vehicles, the waste management trucks with technology, and now they can get fleet status on the trucks. They can route planning optimization, but then also they have cameras attached to these trucks that are on a daily basis collecting data from the city, road conditions, fire hydrants, just city conditions all around, exporting all that data and providing it all in a smart city dashboard, right? So they're addressing multiple use cases by just outfitting the fleet vehicles. Quantella is another partner that's based out of India, but they have coverage globally that actually bought lighting vendor, Cercone, and they have one of the largest smart lighting footprints in the US, and we work very closely with them where they outfit their edge devices, their nodes with AWS Edge technology, stream all the data back, and now you can control your lighting controls. But then, because they've turned the LED light pole into a smart device now, or a smart connected endpoint, now they start attaching additional sensors like parking, air quality monitoring, et cetera, and now you're getting all these sort of data from the city, which typically the city didn't have access to. So a lot of different solutions around here. And there's more. This list is always growing. We're looking to add partners in this space. So I'll touch on a use case. I want to touch on a couple of use cases. City of Coral Gables, close to Miami. If you guys know Raimundo, the CIO over there, very active in the smart city space, very innovative, doing a lot of cool stuff. They work closely with Quantella, which is the lighting company I talked about, and they were able to outfit all their lighting infrastructure in a quadrant and zone with Quantella lighting, Cercone lighting back then. And by running the infrastructure back on AWS, Quantella was able to digitize those assets, and instantly what they realized is one of the biggest bills, utility bills that a city pays is energy, right? So they were able to bring that bill down from 30 to 40% roughly just by converting those lights into LED from incandescent. But then, like I mentioned, they have this dashboard built on AWS where you can start measuring all the sustainability, energy efficiency that you're getting from those lights. And then you can start outfitting air quality sensors, parking sensors, et cetera, to get more data from that, right? So there's the idea of connecting those end devices, taking the data up to a cloud infrastructure, applying additional machine learning technology, can now help the city innovate in beyond just lighting in this use case. The other one I mentioned is MyoVision, which is the traffic management company. In working with the city of Detroit, Detroit was managing around 450 intersections with a small IT staff of about 20, 30 people. And they were all disconnected, so every time a light could go down, someone would have to be informed. a truck would have to be rolled out, so there's costs associated with that truck going out, and there was about an 8-hour turnaround before someone could go fix that light, and you can imagine the impact that would have on traffic, right? So just by using MyoVision's computer vision technology, connecting those traffic lights, and being able to stream that data back in through IoT, they were able to reduce that by 30% in travel times, and from 8 hours, they could now solve a problem within 2 hours, right? So significant savings the cities are getting from just outfitting these technologies with these solutions with technologies. So these are point solutions, right? Very siloed, individual use cases, like I mentioned, and we have partners that are individually challenging all these problems. So I want to touch on something which is a little different. So there's the siloed approach, which is your specific challenges and apply the right solution partner. What we're seeing globally is cities are running into the solutions where they've started the smart city journey over time, 10, 20 years ago, and they've bought these silo solutions, and they all work great, but now they're getting to a point where they're like, hey, every solution I have has a different data structure, has a different proprietary protocol that they speak with, has different data store, and they all work great, but what if I want to get insights above that across all these siloed solutions? How do I efficiently bring all this data in together, correlate it across different silos, and then get insights through that? So the challenge we see is, like I mentioned, cities have bought lighting solutions, waste management, sustainability, traffic, and they're all working great. So one solution they come up with is, hey, instead of buying silo solutions, maybe I'll buy one big company that provides 5 solutions, and that'll solve my problem. Possibly, right? But the challenge is, if you've got a company that provides 5 solutions, and you come up with a 6th use case, or you want to interact with a startup, a local startup, how do you now integrate that in? Right? So a lot of different ways cities have to think about removing these silos and data. So the way we like to solve this problem is, the first step is we have all these data producers on the right side, and forgive me if I'm getting a little nerdy over here, but we have all these data producers on the right. Data producers are your sensors, cameras, devices, things that are deployed out there, right? And we want to protect that investment because it doesn't make sense to go rip out everything and put in something new. On the left side is all your data consumers. These are your applications, your AI dashboards, mobile applications, et cetera, whoever's consuming them. Right now, because of the siloed solution, they have a one-to-one relationship. The sensor only talks to its application. The parking meter only talks to its application, right? But suppose I'm a city manager and I'm saying, hey, I'm converting a one-way street into a two-way street. What impact will that have on traffic? Fine, I can get that insight from my traffic system. But then I want to find out, by converting it to a two-way street and doubling my traffic, what impact does that have on the environmental quality, the air quality index? I don't know, because that's a whole different data set, right? And there's no easy way for me to connect them. So the first thing we try to do is decouple the data producers from the data consumers and remove that one-to-one relationship where any data consumer can talk to any data, vice versa. Any data producer can talk to any data consumer, right? How do we do that? So at AWS, we've come up with something called the AWS Smart Territory Framework. This is a framework. It's not a product. It's not a service. It's not something we sell. It's essentially a framework for you to create open source-based architectures for your data ingestion, storage, and export, right? So essentially what it does is we have all of this available on GitHub, so anyone can go, and I can share all this, anyone can go and build on top of this. Absolutely free, no charge. The idea is there's this, and I'm geeking out a little bit, but there's this protocol called NGSI, which is Next Generation Standard Interface. And the idea is whatever your siloed solution is, whatever formats it's in, you can use the NGSI API to pull that data in to what we call the STF. The STF has a context broker component, an IoT component, but essentially, in basic words, any silo solution data, whatever format, can now be brought into a standard format into the STF. Once it's in the STF, from there, I can export it out to any vendor solution based on the format that they want to consume. So think of this like a format manager in the middle, right? And standardized. And it's all based on open source, so that you don't run into issues of vendor lock-in. Cities can pick and choose whichever vendor they want to work with. And that's where the value of our partners comes into play. On top of that, I can create real-time dashboards. I can create analytics dashboards. I can create digital twin technologies, all decoupled from the individual data providers because I'm using standard formats now, all open source, right? So very innovative way of thinking. And like I said, it's just a framework. We have partners that are taking this framework and building solutions. We have cities that are taking this framework and saying, we want to comply with this and build something against this. So I'll wrap up with, I don't have the demo right now, but if you go to the website, you can see. In Cartagena, Spain, we started working with the city, and they already had air quality sensors and parking sensors deployed across the city by a hardware vendor of ours called Libelium. They're a Spanish IoT company. So they're already collecting all the data, right? So what we did is we worked with them and said, hey, let's take all your parking data and air quality data, import it into SDF through this open API mechanism. We got it into the SDF, and then basically Cartagena said, hey, we'd love to build a digital twin on top, but can you help us do that? So we found another startup company based out of Canada, MetaWorldX, and we told them, can you build a digital twin? Just extract the data from the SDF core, right? And they were able to create a digital twin with live data from Libelium within 2 weeks without ever talking to Libelium. They had no idea who the vendor was. They never picked up the call. And they never asked them what their API is. They basically looked into SDF and said, yep, we understand the standard format. Libelium was sending it. So within 2 weeks, the city was able to spin up a digital twin demo without having to vendors talk to each other and translate and protocols and stuff like that. So that is the value of the SDF core. You can now decouple these producers and consumers and give the power to create different solutions across the board. So I'm just going to wrap up with that. Kind of wanted to give you an idea of where AWS is heading in the smart city space. So a lot of different options when it comes to individual solutions with partners. But then if you're looking to go a step above and create these open system architecture, we're happy to talk about the SDF as well. Thank you.
Any other questions from the group here? Yes.
I mean, coming back to this international standard thing, I mean, what you're proposing is a sort of a data platform for a city, and it's very difficult to have that implemented on a large scale without having the political questions answered and sort of, so what's your vision on the scalability? I mean, are there competing, international standards for having a city-wide data platform that is open and secure and, all of that? I mean, or maybe it's more of a organic thing that Amazon's planting out in the world and hoping it'll spawn a lot of AWS business later or something? I mean, what's the...
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the formatting part, it's all done by Fireware, right? Fireware is the consortium, F-I-W-A-R-E.
Thank you.
Yeah, Fireware. And you can Google them. They're the ones that are managing the whole standard piece of it.
Yeah.
AWS, all we're doing with SDF is saying, hey, you can now deploy this on AWS very easily and scale and build solutions on top of it, right? So the standard part is not something AWS is driving or anything. It's a Fireware standard that is being used by over, I think there's 250 territories worldwide, about 190 cities that are using it globally. There's more European and Middle East presence. North America is a growth market for sure. Yep.
All right, so that's about time. Feel free to take that question offline, but yeah, so just want to thank our presenters today. Let's give them a hand. And then next up, I want to welcome our wearing two hats today, both as a moderator and as a keynote speaker. So I want to welcome back to the stage Lisa Brown, Director of Municipal Infrastructure and Smart Communities at Johnson Controls.
Yes, if anybody, I'm a floor wax and a dessert topping. That's like an old Saturday Night Live thing. Thank you for your patience. So I think some of what I'm going to be sharing is an extension of some of the stuff that Chris Castro spoke of. So I think it'll be real. Let's see if we can find this. Yeah, you can see all my crazy stuff, right? Where is it? Modified. Where am I? Oop. Here we go. All right. Where is the... Making it bigger. There we are. deck. Let's put it in present mode. So hey, so